He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. Any given Thursday, rolling along here on Chat Sports. In the Athletics, Sam Vecenie just released recently his latest NBA mock draft. We'll spend a little more time on these higher prospects, and then we'll kind of go rapid fire later on. But let's go with pick number 1 to Detroit, and of course the order based on the latest NBA draft order based on records. Jabari Smith Jr., the big man out of Auburn. Chase, what can you tell us about him?
Yeah, so he's really kind of climbed up the rankings over the last couple of weeks with what he's been able to do at Auburn, and he's having a really, really solid season. 18 games played, averaging almost 16 points per game, 6+ rebounds. He's shooting 46% from the floor and 44% from long range. So you look at those numbers all across the board, his athletic upside, his ability to play and guard multiple positions, all of that right now trending in the right direction and translates to the modern day NBA, Harrison.
How about Auburn, number 2 in the country?
Seriously.
In college basketball. All right, the Orlando Magic here. Paolo Banchero, freshman out of Duke, 19 years old, another forward here at 6'10".
And look, Duke is having a very good year as Mike Krzyzewski kind of has his final season and his walkaway year as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils. What a historic and really just legendary career for him. Obviously, that doesn't need to be stated overly. But yeah, Paolo has had a great year. 18 points per game, 7.5 boards, 2.5 assists. I tend to lean Jabari over him. It's becoming very, very close, though, because both of these guys have a lot of similarities. Wonderful size, very good athletes, both can play and guard multiple positions. And again, that's such an important component of nowadays NBA where it is so positionless. And I love how he's able to do a multitude of things on the floor. And of course, when you play at Duke under Coach K, you have that wonderful basketball IQ as well.
Both very skilled big men as well, which is very important in today's NBA. A guy that came in with a lot of hype coming into this year, Chase, Chet Holmgren out of Gonzaga, another big here, another skilled one as well, certainly a young player that needs to frame out a little bit, but he's having an insanely efficient season for the Zags.
He really is, and really the only concern for him is how does he add size to his frame. He's extremely thin, and he's extremely just immature in terms of him growing into his body and adding strength to that body. But when you're talking about a 19-year-old who's 7'1", he can fill out over time with the regimen of an NBA schedule, training staff, and nutritional needs, right? But totally the potential is there. And look, Gonzaga is a wonderful team to watch. He's obviously the biggest reason for that. And I don't even think he's close to tapping into his fullest potential. This year, 13 points per game, 8.5 assists. I just want to see defensively, rebounds, excuse me. I just want to see defensively and offensively how he's going to hold up against some of the other really good big men in the NBA. Like if you put him up against a guy like Joel Embiid, Embiid's going to eat his lunch. He's going to snatch it. He's going to run. He's going to dominate him from the start of that ball game to the end of it. So it's really just the size component, which is the overarching concern. He really does everything else well, though.
Do love the shot blocking ability, but you got to beef up a little bit. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. Who should be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft this year? Let us know in the comments. Jaden Ivey, a guard out of Purdue, our first guard here on this mock draft as we react to the Athletics' latest mock.
6'4", 19 years old, and the Boilermakers really having a phenomenal season led by him. He's a really explosive guard who can basically get wherever he wants to. And he's really good at kind of getting creative, not just obviously with his athleticism at that size of 6'4", but with his instincts and his smarts, he's really able to create space for himself to get shots off from a variety of spots on the floor. And that's a big reason why you take a look at the field goal percentage numbers, the three-point numbers. He's very efficient, and a big reason for that is offensive creativity. He's very, very smooth. I really like his tight handle as well when he puts the ball on the deck.
Yeah, when I look at some of these NBA prospects, some of these guys aren't good shooters in college, and they develop into that. But
now they're becoming that.
And when you have guys who can already shoot, that kind of erases 2 years of development at the professional level. So that's something Ivy can bring to the table. Johnny Davis, another guard out of Wisconsin, 6'5", can play the 2 or the 3 for you. You know, a decent shooter. The efficiency isn't quite there, but more of a volume guy. You see the points per game there, Chase. Certainly a guy that has some big upside.
Look, no matter what level you're playing at, 22 points per game is really impressive. Now, his three-point numbers aren't as good as some of these other prospects that we've already broken down, but 44% from the floor is good. And when you're averaging 22 points per game, there's going to be a lot more value than some of these other prospects. So this is a guy who continues to climb up draft boards. He had a really impressive Maui Invitational. And following that event, a lot of evaluators out there saw something like a mid to late first-round pick for Johnny Davis, but because of that scoring ability, which is obviously probably the biggest skill that NBA evaluators look for, he's been able to climb up draft boards of late.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So those are the top 5 picks in this latest mock draft from The Athletic. Some deep analysis there from my guy Chase Sr. Subscribe to us here because this is what we do. We cover the latest NBA news, rumors. We'll do some draft stuff, especially more as we get closer and closer to the offseason. We'll do our own mock drafts as well. But when big mocks come out, we'll try to react to them as much as we can. And, of course, a lot of trade coverage to come over the next couple of weeks. We'll go a little faster as we kind of progress here. Wanted to have some more analysis on the high-ranked guys here. Let's go Benedict Mathurin, sophomore out of Arizona, 6'6", long wingspan as well.
Long wingspan, and he really has the upside of becoming a very, very good defender, and all of these guys teenagers so far, by the way. So NBA evaluators very high on some of these younger prospects. Jalen Duren, one of the more traditional big men that we're going to break down in this first-round mock, 6'11" center, plays for Memphis. Penny Hardaway has just done a fantastic job of being able to recruit prospects. Yeah. Now the game management and his actual coaching inside of those games hasn't been great because it hasn't really translated to a lot of long-standing success and wins, but Jalen Duren, very, very fun player to watch. As far as Kendall Brown out of Baylor, Baylor went down twice last week. So the number 1 team in the country went down a couple of times last week, but still they have so much upside as a program. Kendall Brown, 6'8", 18 years old. He's been another breakout player this year, hyper-athletic freshman who made his mark for Baylor through kind of just having a very efficient game, also a very good defender at that 6'8" size with a 6'11" wingspan.
Let me add this as well. Elite hair.
Elite hair.
Oh, yeah. So that's always, and that gives you a couple inches when you measure in at the combine. That's just how it works. That may or may not be true, but I'm going with it at the end of the day. Let's go Patrick Baldwin Jr. going to the Kings in this mock out of University of Milwaukee.
Yes.
How about that? Top 10 player here?
Yeah, so 6'9" forward, 18 years old, and how about Milwaukee having a potential top 10 pick? Now, Milwaukee has a basketball program. There's a big reason why we don't talk about them all that often. They're 3-9 against Division I opponents this year, and Baldwin has so far only played a few of those games, but around him, some playmaking guards, but really for the most part, he's had to do a lot of that. So it's going to be an awesome story to continue to monitor this with Patrick Baldwin. I mean, the fact that he goes to Milwaukee, not a basketball powerhouse, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about a potential top 10 player here. He is more of the raw variety as compared to some of these other guys who are a little bit more established.
Yeah, well, how about a blue blood? Back to Duke.
Yeah.
AJ Griffin going number 10 to the Timberwolves, a 6'6" wing.
We're not sure exactly what he is. Now, it's obviously good, as we've kind of talked about today, when you can guard multiple positions, but also it can be a problem when you don't know what a specific guy plays. 6'6" forward, though, nice wingspan, very good athlete, and this is another one of those prospects at Duke that makes him one of the top teams in the country this year.
Which team will finish with the number 1 overall pick? Because we're just over the halfway point in the NBA regular season. There's a lot of basketball to be played. Again, these mock draft selections based on the current projected draft order. But what do you guys think? Who's going to get that top pick? And again, even if you have the worst record, it all comes down to those ping pong balls. Let us know. What do you guys think? Go 11 through 15 here. How do I pronounce this? Is this
Ty
Washington?
Elite
I didn't want to mess it up.
Very good prospect
as well. It is an
elite
name. 6'3" out of Kentucky.
Yeah, 6'3" out of Kentucky. Then we go to Dyson Daniels, another one of those forwards from the Ignite. Jonathan Kuminga.
Seeing more and more of this.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more of this. Jonathan Kuminga has really come on for the Golden State Warriors. He took that similar route last year when he played for the Ignite. Jalen Green, of course, as well. Both top 7 picks in last year's NBA draft. We'll see where Dyson Daniels falls. Keegan Murray out of Iowa. Iowa having, a pretty solid season. He's been a big reason for that. And then Ochai Agbaji. Did I get it right?
Yes, Ochai Agbaji. He's been at Kansas for a decade, it feels like. Actually, only 4 years. He's the modern Perry Ellis in terms of the rest of the Big 12 can't get rid of this guy. But he's the classic Bill Self player where he just gets a little bit better every single year, and then he'll be like a mid-late first-round pick, and he'll probably be a 10-year pro. His ceiling isn't as high as some of these other freshman and sophomore prospects, but I think he could average 10 to 15 points in the NBA for a very long time.
I agree with that because he's got such great size. And coming up, I'm really excited to talk about one of our international prospects as well, the first international prospect so far on this draft list, coming in at number 15. Somewhat rare for nowadays in the current landscape of basketball becoming a global sport. But Nikola Jovic, a forward and center. He's 6'10", plays for Mega. He's one international player who has really helped himself a lot this year. He's improved his stroke from three, which is obviously very important to translate to today's NBA, where you can't just be a traditional big man to clog up the low block. So far, he's made 37% of his threes this year.
If only he was Nikola Jokic's cousin.
Yeah, almost.
Then
similar names.
He would for sure be elite. If you want to go bet on some NBA games, college basketball as well, BetUS is the place to do it. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Plug in that promo code CHAT125. And for you football fans, really good value on these playoff games as the playoffs continue to progress. So go to that link below, chatsports.com/bet, plug in the promo code to get that 125% deposit bonus. Okay, here we go, 16 and on. Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame, a 6'5" guard.
Yeah, no, he's really been a big-time riser as well, and that's kind of the consistent theme with a lot of these prospects. Like, it was a wide open class outside of really the top two, top three players. And other than that, it's a bunch of guys who have really just been streaking up the draft board ladders. Blake Leslie, one of them. Gene Montero is a 6'2" guard, 18 years old, of the overtime elite. And when you kind of break down his film a little bit, he's played overseas. He's a shifty lead guard, really good pull-up ability, and a scoring acumen that is really, really next level. Trevor Keels out of Duke. I mean, we're talking about Duke being one of the best programs in the country this year. They've been down the last couple of years. We're talking now about three guys who can go in the top 20 picks of the NBA draft here in 2022. We move forward with the Oklahoma City Thunder going with Marjon Beauchamp, 6'7" wing, 20 years old, also of the G League Ignite. He's emerged as a fascinating developmental story.
One of many first-round picks the Thunder have over the next 5 years.
Yes. Thunder and Sam Presti, plenty. This
one
this
via
year.
The Clippers.
Yeah, seriously. Kennedy Chandler at number 20 to the Denver Nuggets. He's a 6'1" guard, 19 years old, out of Tennessee. He's been really up and down. He's only averaging around 14, 15 points per game this year, right around 5 assists with some respectable percentages, but he really does have electric speed. He can get to the paint, but the way he reads defenses can often lead to trouble for him.
Yeah, 10 more picks to go as we continue to break down this mock draft. And, college basketball right now getting into conference play, so we'll learn more and more about these prospects over the next couple of months. Before we get to 21 through 30. Name a sleeper prospect in this year's draft class. It's early. If you don't know, just pick the best name that we've said so far, and that's a great response. So let us know your top sleeper prospect in this year's draft class. All right, let's keep it moving here. 21 through 30. The Sixers, Jaden Hardy out of the G League Ignite as well. Several Ignite players. I think you're going to see more and more of this in the years to come.
No, I totally agree with you. And with Philly, you talk about traditional guards right now. They have Tyrese Maxey. Could they pair him up with Jaden Hardy? Of course, a lot of this hinges on what happens with Ben Simmons. Wendell Moore, 22 to the Cavs. Cavs have been one of the best stories in the NBA this year. 6'5" wing, 20 years old. Guess where he goes to school? Harrison? Duke. That's now 5 guys in the top 22. Houston Rockets via Miami. J.D. Davison, 6'3" guard, 19 years old, out of Alabama. Alabama's become a very good basketball program over the last couple of years.
Look at that hair.
J.D. Davison, elite hair. Very fascinating year this year. Tari Eason out of LSU. Cameron Thomas of LSU last year was one of my favorite prospects, and he's already been able to show in the Summer League, preseason, and at the NBA level that he can really score it. So Tari Eason continuing that trend for LSU. Harrison Ingram, 6'7" wing and forward. Stanford, 19 years old, him going to the Milwaukee Bucks. They kind of have a need there for a forward who can guard a couple of different positions. He's had a statistically very strong year across the board, around 12 points, 7 rebounds, 3 dimes. And, I really like him. So, too, Mark Williams, also of Duke. Like, Coach Krzyzewski has
No wonder
really
they're
had
good this
a
year.
great recruiting class this year to bring all of these guys in, and the last couple of years to make this team what it is up to this point. They're really a very, very strong Final Four contender. I really like actually how they match up with a team like Baylor. Caleb Houston out of Michigan. Michigan has not really reached expectations at all this year. They've been extremely disappointing under Juwan Howard. Caleb Houston has not, though. Really good size at 6'8". Ousmane Dieng of the New Zealand Breakers. 6'8" forward, only 18 years old. We've seen a lot of players come over from Australia. The National Australian Basketball League is excellent.
Yep.
And in that area of the world, like Josh Giddey last year was a top 10 pick. They've been developing excellent basketball players. Aminu Muhammad of Georgetown, good get for Patrick Ewing, 6'5" wing, who's only 20 years old, and then going 30 to the Golden State Warriors. We, of course, know the Warriors are stacked, second best record in the NBA, but hey, it's the draft, they're picking, so of course they have to have a mock selection, and it is Bryce McGowan's out of Nebraska going to the Warriors to round this puppy out.
So there you go. It's early. Again, we'll learn more and more about these guys. Grade the mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know. We'll do some more draft coverage in the coming months.